Hey everybody, welcome back to Promise of Plenty. My name is Keith. That's Nate. How you doing, Nate?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Hey, if you found us, give us a little like and subscribe. Tell us how you feel in the comments. And today we'll talk a little bit about Flesh and Blood and how they massacred our boy. Take it away, Nate.
I feel like what you're referring to is the ban and restricted announcement, right?
Indeed, indeed.
I kind of felt like I felt personally attacked by this ban and restricted announcement. Actually, do I need to go and get my playmat? Does everybody know about my playmat? Let's see.
Back in
See
the
if I can
day,
find it. It's right here.
back when Monarch came out, Nate was one of the
What?
first people on Belittle minnowism being broken, and it took
Yeah.
them almost 2 years to catch up, but finally.
So this is my playmat that one of the locals designed for me. I think it's pretty cool. Um, I,
Stubby Hammers
I
was one of the first Monarch casualties. Yes.
I built a Stubby Hammerers deck with Belittle and Minnowism and Snatch and Promise of Plenty, kind of that same core for every hero, literally every hero, including Kano. It did not work, but I built it, I tried it, and I lost, but that's okay
Yeah,
because
but
we're
your
all having
success
fun, right?
rate on most of the heroes was pretty good. Pretty good. Took home a
It was
few
not, it
armories with
was
that
pretty
core.
It was pretty decent. I got some at least something between a chuckle and a guffaw from multiple of my decks. I think Stubby Prism was the one that was the most surprising to folks.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I brought that in. People were laughing, and at the
And
end,
they lost.
they were still laughing, but in a different way. That was a
Wow.
good time. That was fun.
Yeah, yeah. All right, we'll get right to
So,
that. I'll pull up the banned and restricted page on screen. Oh well, a little preface to this. Um, the results from week 2 of ProQuest is very similar to the first week of ProQuest, where the winningest hero was Oldham. So we've got a nice dominance. The second winningest hero was Icelander as well, taken on with that ice. And then the third winningest hero is Phi, who typically was using the Belittle Minnowism combo in the more popular decks. And so, with that data in mind, that this is the meta, these three heroes, they brought out the Band Hammer.
they banned the Winter's Whale Hammer with the ban hammer.
So,
Ha 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 ha
Winter's
ha.
Winter promise of plenty of
Okay,
bad
Dad.
jokes. that's that's our tagline. Promise of plenty of bad jokes and warm takes. All right. Winter's Whale banned. Oldham can no longer block with 3 cards and then use an ice blue to hit you with a frosty hammer. The community feels a little bit of relief from this one. I don't think anybody's complaining about this one. the the
Yeah,
the fatigue Oldham strat of just giving you a frostbite every turn and blocking everything else is getting a little tired.
so were people really playing that style of Oldhim though? Because I thought people had already moved on to a more aggro sort of version since they banned Pulse of Eisenloft.
No, man, fatigue is big still, and
Is it?
yeah, you still.
Well,
I mean, in
so
CC, you can still do the Crown of Seeds. Block
but
everything.
but were people doing that? Do we have stats on like the actual archetype people were playing?
No, I don't. So we could look that up later, figure it out based on the deck
Yeah,
lists on
I'm
some
just
of the popular
curious.
things.
Because at
Um,
least from what I've seen, people have moved more towards like a pummel sort of Oldhim.
which would make
That
more sense to, and uh, from day one, what I never understood with Oldham is why you would play fatigue when you have like a 75% chance of getting a draw. And draws are
Uh,
losses, essentially.
I
Like, you
I
gotta
think
win.
it depends. I don't think it's that high. I do think that it adds a lot more stress to your day if you're trying to take that to a big tournament
Hmm.
because you know you can control your own pace of play, and often it wasn't the Oldham player playing slow that
Right. You
would
block
be.
everything, and all you're gonna do is swing Frosty Hammer. Then it's the
Yeah,
other
I
player
mean,
who's like, ugh. Oh, what's the frostbite gonna do to my turn? Oh.
exactly. Yeah. And so you're kind of putting the other player in an awkward position by throwing off all their lines of play and then being surprised Pikachu and they end up taking three times as much time as you, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of that. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it definitely does add a lot more stress. I've never played that more fatigue style of Oldham, even though I actually own a Crown of Seeds. That's one of the two legendaries that I've ever pulled was Crown of Seeds.
There you
But
go.
that's a running joke for those that don't know that I'm like way below rate on pulling legendaries. But I haven't played it because I don't I mean I don't like that kind of pure fatigue style as much.
Hmm.
I like
It's
a more
boring, you
interactive.
know. If it
Well,
can
yeah,
win, that's okay. It can win,
I know
but
I'm gonna get a lot of flack from some of the other locals. Like, what do you mean you don't play fatigue? You bring Ira and Flick Flag Pie and
you always, yeah. No, no, no. Those aren't fatigue. Those are control.
yeah, right.
All right, so
So
they bring out some reasoning. Basically, their math says winner's whale is kind of on rate with being a two-hander instead of a one-hander. The fact that you can use it and have a shield. And man, I in my thinking, like, I don't know why they didn't just errata it to be a two-hander, but logistically they hate doing erratas and changing cards that way. They'd rather just ban them.
did we ever get the errata Briar card that we were supposed to get?
They have it available at professional level tournaments. For
Oh,
the
got
judges
you.
have it as part of the kits. I don't think they ever sent it out in armory kits specifically. I wonder if an LGS can ask for them though to hand out as part of
I
the,
would have liked to have seen it in the Armory kits, but it's not a huge deal.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
And then along
I
with
I'm
Winter's Wail, Hypothermia, and Amulet of Ice, basically this is the Icelander side of it, that is just too disruptive, and they wanted that matchup to be a little less of a gotcha matchup. Icelander being able to make you discard more strategically, all of that. And man, poor Lexi.
why poor Lexi? Was she actually playing these cards?
Well, I put a meme in the Discord of, it's that Terminator walking around looking to kill somebody, and the little person's hiding, and it's Ice Lexi. Just
Now I feel like you need to edit that meme in now because yes, I saw that, but um
basically, like, every time ice or lightning, like they did with ball lightning, every time ice or lightning gets a ban because of Icelander or Briar or Oldham, Lexi's the one who takes the hit because, like, it's Lexi's so close to being competitive, but they just keep taking away tools.
I I'm skeptical that this hurts Lexi at all. I don't think I've seen any. Well, no, actually, I have seen people play Amulet of Ice in Ice Lexi, but I don't think it's as necessary as it was in Icelander by a long shot.
Right, right. Having
Um,
an ice card that's useful for fuse, as well as it's a
yeah,
blue that's ice, and yeah.
Hypothermia, I'm very skeptical that any Lexi would play. Maybe as like a sideboard card.
Okay.
I do think it was good in Oldham. And I guess it probably would be good in Lexi as a sideboard card against certain matchups. I'm thinking about like Fi, right? Because so much of Fi's go again is conditional.
Hmm. Well, and they
You
talk
can
about that.
really
They're like this with a single card. Icelander's able to steal a whole turn from Briar, Dash, and Fi. Any of those heroes that rely on go again.
right, but like it's not just Icelander that can steal their turn. It was also Oldhim and Lexi were able to do it as well, right? It just cost them their action point,
Hmm.
which I think is probably what they were going for. It's the problem was that Icelander can play it at instant speed.
Right, right. A
So
little too
I
much.
kind of wonder why don't they just say hypothermia is banned in Icelander decks? Is that just too confusing?
Well, that's another thing. They haven't gone that way. And I brought this up too recently, the idea that why not spare the heroes where it's not overpowered? Like why ban Plunder Run just because of Rune Blades? You know, leave it for other classes.
So
Or
Plunder Run, I feel like that's a whole other
sure,
topic
some of
because
these cards,
Plunder Run,
each card is its own debatable element, but like yeah, and in a way, they sort of got in the middle of the road with the suspension list. So Amulet of Ice, Hypothermia are just suspended until Icelander is gone.
well,
But
right, but why do that when you
yeah,
can just say you just can't play this in an Icelander deck?
right,
And
that makes more
then,
sense to me. This is banned for this hero. That way, it's still available for the rest that can use it. You know.
yeah, I mean, I can kind of see the argument because it's a little more confusing, but not a lot. I don't know. It's an option.
Yeah.
I think the cool thing about hypothermia, number one, it's an ice card. Number two, it creates a pivot point, right, against heroes that really like or have a lot of that conditional go again. So imagine like Fi is attacking into me. They've got the momentum. I'm kind of blocking out. If I can save a hypothermia and then just do that on my turn, then they're probably only going to be able to come back with one card, and then you can block that card, and then you can actually pivot back with three cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a very cool, well designed pivot card or sideboard card, right? So it's a little bit of a shame that Oldham and Lexi lose access to that.
Yeah.
Because I did. I played that card in my Oldham deck in
Mm-hmm.
my sideboard. I think I even played it main board in Blitz. Because it's a good ice card.
All right. It's ice. It's a blue. It's you need that for other stuff
And it
as
blocks
well.
two, but like so do most of the other ice blues, other than CLF, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the attack that's terrible, but you play it anyway because it blocks three. I don't even remember the name. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But you play it because it's blue and blocks three. Amulet of Ice. I'm not as worried about that. I used to play it a little bit, but not a lot. I
All
used
right.
to be an Oldham main, by the way, for people that don't know.
Yep. All right. So belittle. They decided basically if you have belittle minnowism combo, which helps the aggro classes, and then you had those ice cards they wanted to ban, which were their counter, and they thought both were too powerful, but you can't get rid of one without the other. So goodbye belittle.
I've got a lot to say about this ban. Not because I disagree with it. I absolutely think belittle is or was a problem, and it's been a problem for the simple fundamental reason that it just breaks the fundamental rules of Fab.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you've got, let's say, belittle red, it's a one, basically for it's basically a 1 for 6 go again. which is just unreal. If you go and get a red minnowism, right?
Mm-hmm.
It gets even weirder when you go and tutor the blue because then it's a -2 for 3 go again. It's an attack that generates resources, which doesn't exist elsewhere, right?
Right.
Um,
Right. If they had it in mind that they only thought about the combo as use belittle to get minnowism and then play minnowism, but instead it's use belittle, get a blue to pitch for something else.
I don't think that's inherently a problem because we've also got Sunkiss and Moonwish, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's a really cool design space because there's a lot of things that you can do to play around with it. I think Belittle was just a tiny bit overtuned. Maybe not even a tiny bit, is maybe quite a lot. Because you also have the flexibility of being able, if you need more pitch, you get more pitch. If you need more damage, you go and get more damage. So you have that. But then
Right.
you've also got it gives you benefits when you're interacting with other mechanics, right? Because you could tunic, belittle, get your red minnowism, and then you play that, and then that's your non-attack action in Runeblade, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's your non-attack and your attack.
Mm-hmm.
So then you can do Viserai. He gets his ability turned on. You get your Rosetta Thorn turned on,
Mm-hmm.
and there's just all kinds of crazy downstream side benefits that you can get from that.
Right.
So I think how these things need to be tuned in the future is they need to be kind of on rate or maybe even a little bit below rate once you include both of the cards together. But then you can kind of get side benefits by turning on other mechanics, if that makes sense. So in this case, turning on your Viscerai or your Rosetta Thorn, whatever else.
Yeah, I
Um,
feel like this is just another case of generics being okay most of the time, but then they can't really test all the possible combinations that it'll end up affecting later on because it's generic, so it can go in every deck.
Well, that's one of the things that was really attractive about Belittle and Minnowism to me is because I could make that deck in every hero and just see what is it in this hero that is most complemented by this combo,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I thought that was really cool. Um, I do think it was just a little overtuned though.
Yeah, there's a
I
lot in Monarch that they played around with the talents, and we've there's a lot of powerful things that came in Monarch. All the evidence you need is how many heroes have legended out and which set did they come from.
What are you talking about? There's almost no playable cards in Monarch now.
Not anymore. And everybody's doing their darndest to get Bolton up there now that he got some buffs. So we'll
Yeah,
see. But
Bolton
yeah,
is
Chain
interesting too.
and Prism, and they didn't have to ban anything from Prism, but Prism was just like going crazy.
I think Luminaris probably should have been banned, but
Yeah.
it doesn't matter now because she's
Apparently, there's
literally
a Dromai build with Iris.
it's don't laugh. It actually doesn't seem that bad.
Okay, that's a whole other topic. So
Yeah.
ban, belittle, and they mention as well that they thought
Wait,
about.
before we move on, can
Okay,
we talk a little bit more about Belittle? I have two more points about Belittle to
go
make because
for it.
I think this is really fascinating.
Go
I
for
want
it.
to hear your take. I want to hear your take.
Okay.
So let's say instead of banning Belittle, we ban Blue Minnowism. Does that solve the problem? Or maybe even blue and red. So now you have to get yellow. If you want to do anything, you have to get yellow. What do you think?
The idea that you could um, find eliminate a color strip is interesting, but they've really, I think, for the sake of simplicity, avoided that as well. And you know, having to explain to a player, this card is, you can play this card, but only the yellow one, is interesting. And if they explored that space, that could work. But yeah.
It could be the same reason that they or what were we talking about earlier about now I lost it.
Oh, suspending a card instead of
Oh, yeah, per
making
hero.
it per
It could
hero.
be
Yeah.
like you said, they're just trying to make it simpler. So the other question that I had about this belittle ban is, does this really do enough to bring Phi down? I feel like I've seen Phi decks that don't run belittle. Belittle was one of the like sub archetypes of Phi. I personally think that Art of War was the problematic card in Phi. I
Ooh.
believe Art of War was an extremely problematic card in Chain. I believe if Levia was a problem, it would be an extremely problematic card in Levia as well.
It
So,
is so flexible. Like this card, the not just the modal options, but the fact that it only costs one. I mean, it is just crazy. This card is so powerful.
yeah, it's another one of those cards that breaks the fundamental rules of the game, and I don't think it'll ever not be a problem if it doesn't get banned.
Yeah.
Because it's just like you said, it's so flexible, and it's one of the few cards that doesn't actually cost a card. It only costs one resource because you can banish and then get your cards back, and you also get an effect on top of it. And if you're
Right.
going six cards, if you're going six attacks wide, like you might in Phi, then you're getting six value off of your buff.
Right. Like we know they banned Stubby because of Phi, also because of the Crouching Tiger archetype that they were working on at the time that's coming. But this is basically the same thing. And like adding one to n plus, one plus attacks, like it's nuts. Well, how do you
For
fix?
no cards.
Yeah, how do you fix this card? Do you instead of a choose two, make it you pick one of these things?
I don't think this card can be fixed. It like maybe, but then I think it's too weak, right? Because then you're either like maybe not, because you could pay if you pay one resource and a card to gain plus six, that's still really good.
Yeah.
Right?
That's still
Then
really
it's
good,
basically
yeah.
uprising, and you're doing it at instant speed, so it's also a combat trick. Um, yeah, I think if and like if you do the go again, then it's almost like Malverian skies at instant speed,
Hmm.
right? And then you do the cycle, and that's almost good by itself because then you can use it to fix your bad hands, right?
Yeah, it's the
So
different combinations is so nuts. Like
the
giving
wi yeah, that's the wild thing about Art of War. I think it would still almost be too strong if you only got to choose one mode.
hmm. But,
'Cause
like man, it's you played Belittle Middowism, that core in a lot of heroes. But
and
as
Art of War was also part of that.
yeah, but as far as a meta, do you think Art of War applies to more heroes than the Belittle Minnowism, and that's why they've kept it? As
Does
it's
it
it's just more
apply to
fair?
more
Is it
heroes?
usable by more heroes?
Um, I I don't think so. I think that they're both good in similar situations, right? And like belittle minnowism might even be more applicable. Maybe not, because you have to run like three or less. And Art of War, you can run in brute more notably. It's easier to run in brute.
Well, the
So
other thing, I guess because this is it's a single card, it's a majestic. You've got three in your deck at most. The Belittle Minnowism combo shenanigans, you could have nine of each. The odds of being able to get the combo you can have much higher. You know.
So I think another factor, and with Belittle being banned, I still think Art of War should be banned. But Belittle also had another factor of it was kind of annoying to play with and play against because you'd be shuffling your deck almost every turn. And as somebody that played a lot of Belittle and Minnowism, I mean that was all I played for probably like 6 months was just a different hero with Belittle and Minnowism. It got kind of annoying.
I mean, that's a
So,
logistical thing, but I guess that's a trade-off too. If you play it, you're not pitch stacking.
no, I mean it's not the not pitch stacking. It's really just having to spend, 30 seconds every turn shuffling was kind of annoying. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
I don't know. I think it's good that they banned it. I'd also like to see Art of War banned though at some point. I think I need to add that to my everyday value. Is it on the
it
everyday
is.
value
I
menu?
think it is already.
Okay,
That
it's already
that
on there.
card's yeah, that card's been ridiculous from day one.
Yeah.
Okay, to wrap up the ban and things, they talk about Crown of Seeds again, saying like, yeah, it's kind of annoying to play against, and they have banned it in Blitz, but they just don't want to ban a legendary from constructed, basically. Oops, sorry, you can't play with your card you paid $200 for at the time.
Is it $200?
I don't know what it is now, but there was a point like when it came out, it was over 200 in the beginning.
Oh gosh, that's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. It's only $50 now, actually.
That's come way down. Yeah, supply of
Um,
any of the Tails legendaries is there's a lot of supply. So
yeah. Personally, again, and as somebody that pulled this as one of my two legendaries, I think Crown of Seeds should probably be banned too. It combined with that shield is just too good. The Ram's Head shield, because again, it breaks a fundamental law of Fab, right? Which is that your deck decays over time.
mm-hmm,
And there's not a lot of cards that give you the ability to just keep blocking damage without costing cards out of your deck.
mm-hmm,
We've got Heart of Find All is one, Old Him is two, Crown of Seeds, and then the Ram's Head shield.
mm-hmm.
I think that's it.
Like imagine Crown of Seeds started the game with like five counters, and you could only pitch to use it those five times, right?
Yeah, I think that would be much better. But then it'd probably be you wouldn't want to play it
Right.
because
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
the
tough.
ability to get a card out of Arsenal, the ability to take full advantage of pitching a blue, block, buff the
Mhm.
shield. This is the combination of all those things.
And I think it's worth noting that Drone of Brutality, which is an otherwise pretty mediocre card, got banned just for this reason because it allows you to just cycle, block a blue for two and then cycle it back into your deck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And it wasn't,
they really don't have a lot of cards that go back in easily. You've got there was an Earth card that did it for a bit. We would go to the bottom, but no one really plays it if it hit.
yeah, it's the rare, I think. I know what you're talking about.
And
And then
you've got Memorial Ground shenanigans. You've got various.
Timekeeper's Win. It's just it happened to be the front one in my foil box. It's right here. So
Or
if it's played
my favorite shenanigan one is what is it? The last
cognition
no
cognition nodes.
the generic final stand. What's the one where if it's the last card in your deck, it gets +4. and go again.
Oh, Last Ditch Effort. I
Last
love
ditch
that card.
effort.
I
Yeah.
love that card. That's a very underrated card. So I think my favorite is Cognition Nodes. That's the item in Mech. It says it's an attack reaction, attack action card gains. If it hits, put it on the bottom of your deck.
Mhm.
I want to make a deck where all you do is use that card to recur Nourishing Emptiness.
Okay. Make it work with Data Doll. There you go.
Eventually we'll get there.
That's how
I
you
think
break
it
Data Doll to have four hand turns every time.
it's still missing some things. That's the problem. It's definitely missing some things. I think the biggest thing that you need is something to shuffle your deck because otherwise they're just getting stuck on the bottom and you need a way to like pull those nourishing emptiness back
Mm-hmm.
out, and we just don't really have that
Yeah. Belittle
today.
minnowism? Oh no, now you can't.
That actually, I don't think that would work either because belittle is an attack action and then it would turn off your nourishing
Right, right, right,
emptiness,
right, right,
unfortunately.
right.
So,
It was just on
yeah.
my mind as shuffling.
I wonder if you could do like a last ditch effort kind of thing. So, like, just empty your deck with the chess piece, the Foundry Heart, and then just loop two last ditch efforts every single turn.
That could work. That could work.
Maybe. I don't know.
All right, so the big news was all those bans. Everything else is just ProQuest happening. Not a lot of other stuff. What are you been up to there, Nate? Talishar? I see some new UI things coming up on the horizon. Looks pretty interesting.
That's mostly Loston that's been working on that. I haven't really been as involved with that. I mostly do the back end stuff, like the actual game logic. So I have been writing a lot of APIs for that though. We rewrote the pretty much a lot of the lobby system to use actual APIs instead of this weird kind of business logic and UI logic jumbled together kind of nonsense.
Okay.
So, so yeah, that quite a lot of work went into that, but I think it's going to be worthwhile. I think the new UI looks pretty cool, so I'm excited for it.
Okay. Oh, I will. On my end, I've been playing around. Always we both do this. Always with the market stuff. Um, have you seen the price of Welcome to Wraith?
Oh, the sealed boxes, sort of.
Yeah.
I've seen people have been talking about it.
I will pull this back up as our last topic here. Check this out. If you could see the graph, it dips down to about 55. And over just the 1 month now, it's hitting above 80. Right now, there are boxes at $89. That has
Wow.
been it has just shot up. You used to be able, not even just 2 months ago, find these for deals of like 45, definitely under $50.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Makes me wonder if maybe we need to start buying your rainbow foils from Welcome to Rave before they disappear.
Yeah,
We haven't
plenty
seen
of those shooting up.
a lot of rainbow foil reprints, have we?
No, and with the in Dynasty, they reprinted a card, but then what's the mech? Uh,
Uh, is it it's the item,
yeah.
right?
Anyway,
Hyperdriver.
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 They added the other two colors and include foils of those, but then they don't have a rainbow foil for the original one. They protected that, which was cool.
They did it with Scar for a Scar and Uprising as well.
Yeah. Yep.
It's interesting though because there actually were some rainbow foil reprints in the Dory versus Rhinar
Mm-hmm.
deck. the
Yeah,
classic
all
battle.
those
There's
equipments.
some of the equipments were rainbow foil reprints, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah,
And so I don't know if it's a real, like if they'll actually protect rainbow foils going forward. But
yeah. But in the short term, at least, if you've got some to unload or pick up, and now's the time.
yeah, well, I like playing with rainbow foils, so
Yeah.
I try to collect at least a playset of everything. That's what I've got right here, right next to me is my Everfest. Oop, now they're all over the floor, but that's okay.
it's the you gotta find the end of the rainbow foils. There you go. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out. ProQuest season weekend 3 is coming up here, and then it's going to be over. The bans go into effect January 30th, and then we find out what happens next. Skirmish season coming up. They've got some cool items. I don't know. I got to try to play in one of these this time. I didn't play in any last year.
You didn't do the skirmish last year?
No, even our local one. Because, yeah, yeah.
What are you gonna play?
Oh, I know. I'm keeping it a secret, man. Because.
Is it a secret? Because you don't know? Because it's gonna be
Exactly.
whatever
It's a
random,
secret from
whatever deck
me
I
as
bring for
well.
you.
No, I'll build my own.
Oh,
It's
okay.
it's so funny. I've got literally 30,000 flesh and blood cards behind me, but don't have a deck built.
Not one. I've got the opposite problem. I've got so many decks built at one time that all my staple generics and stuff are just they're.
You need 15 copies of Command and Conquer, so you don't have to go find them.
I don't own any copies of Command and Conquer. Did you know that? I have no
Wow,
copies.
wow.
And it's not because I don't like it. It's just I have a hard time paying $100 for one Majestic. It just seems like too
Yeah,
much to me.
yeah,
So I kind of build my decks around it. And I think it's fine because I don't really do like the callings and stuff like that. Mostly just do armories. So I think it's
casual
fine.
play. Yeah, $100 card. That's rough on the casual wallet.
That's a little too much. And like Art of War, I think, the reason it's so expensive is because it's a little much. It's a little too much, I think.
Yep,
But
yep. All right. Well, thanks
it
for
is what
hanging
it
out.
is. Yep.
We'll see
See
you next
you.
time.